Hey there! Remember when this happened? Well, if you don't, feel free to watch it. Why am I bringing that up? Well, it's because despite the amount of stuff in the video as is, there was plenty of stuff I wanted to talk about that just had to be cut. One of those topics being tutorials of sorts, which is essentially just discussing each traveler and giving an overview followed by job combinations and what the player can do for each traveler. There won't be an order to this, and I do plan on covering each traveler in due time, but for now I figured I'd start with my favorite traveler of the 8, Therion. Therion is a rather interesting character, being that he chooses to work alone when given the opportunity. He's a lone wolf, so to speak. He never has any specific destination in mind and only follows the wind at his own accord, yet when the time comes to getting to work, he is more than capable of doing so. And what kind of work does he do? Just a little bit of sneaking around and stealing and whatnot. For you see, he's a thief. Therion excels in both evasion and speed with a bit of physical attack on the side. The evasion stat alone can make him a strong dodge tank, which can be very beneficial for survival during battles. Likewise, Therion's speed stat can lend him into excelling in that role more, as well as branch out towards support-based playstyles, as he'll more than likely be the first one to act during turns. However, despite his innate ability to dodge a lot of the physical attacks thrown at him, that only applies to physical attacks. Magical attacks will always hit no matter how evasive he or a foe is. As a result, you cannot simply choose to not get him gear, as magic damage will be a problem for him. Even so, it's rather handy to have. Therion also comes with a plethora of talents at his disposal for both in-combat and out-of-combat scenarios. In the overworld, Therion can unlock purple chests scattered across Orstera. These chests tend to have some of the best gear in a designated area, or could simply contain an abundance of leaves. During battles, Therion can use his steal ability to take items from foes. This can be rather useful for gathering items and resources. Of course, that's only more icing on the cake to what is considerably his greatest contribution, his base job. If it wasn't apparent already, Therion's starting job is Thief. The Thief job comes with swords and daggers as your designated weapons during battles. Having two weapons to start with means it will be easier to find weaknesses on foes and can be later combined with secondary jobs for more variety. Likewise, the job also comes with a mixture of support-based and offense-based skills that allow Therion to take on any sort of direction he wants. For offense purposes, Therion has access to Wildfire, HP Thief, Steel SP, and Aber's Reckoning. Meanwhile, for supportive purposes, he has access to Shackle Foe, Armor Corrosive, and Share SP. Given how split down the middle these skill options are, Therion is able to use several jobs very effectively. This can include jobs such as the Warrior, Hunter, and much more. Of course, one of the most notable secondary jobs for Therion is the Dancer. The Dancer job is fairly supportive based, as the majority of the skills involve some form of stat buffing. Of course, you have dark spells, but that's really the extent of offense, as even the Divine skill is support based. As a result, giving Therion the Dancer job can greatly benefit his ability to act as a support unit, as well as increase his already amazing evasion and speed, as the job raises both of those stats. Therion at base already acts as an enemy debuffer, what with Shackle Foe and the like, but combined with the Dancer job allows him to also buff his allies, which then creates a discrepancy in stats between the allies and foes. Likewise, you can use the Dancer job to buff Therion himself if you wish to increase the damage output for moves such as HP Thief and Aber's Reckoning. The only thing to watch out for is his low SP stat, but because of the move SP Thief, he'll rarely be in a position where he'll run out of SP. Next, we have the Warrior job, which is heavily offense based, providing an additional weapon to Therion's disposal, polearms. However, because of one specific move, the Warrior job can act as a means of pseudo-support for the party, that move being Insight. Insight triggers enemies to attack the traveler more often than other travelers during combat, and because Therion has a massive evasion stat, he can easily bait enemies into attacking him and dodging attacks as well. However, as previously mentioned, magic moves will hit regardless of the evasion stat. Likewise, area of effect moves that target every party member will ignore the Insight ability. Even so, it's a rather powerful tool at your disposal and can be pivotal in some fights. In a similar fashion to the Dancer job is the Hunter job. The Hunter job provides Therion the ability to equip axes and bows, as well as gain access to lightning magic. This is incredible for breaking foes, as Therion will have 6 different types of moves at his disposal to work with. However, that's only the first bit of it. What makes the Hunter job so desirable for Therion is that it also complements the Thief's job's playstyle in debuffing the foes. The Hunter job only comes with one debuffing move, known as the Leg Hold Trap, and it's used to delay the actions of foes. This single move is enough to make Therion an extremely well off debuff bot. The Hunter job also raises a lot of Therion's best stats, so he can still act offensively as well as supportively. It's one of the better options available for him, yet you can't go wrong with anything mentioned in this video. However, if you're looking for something more ally support oriented, you can go with the Merchant job. Similar to the Hunter job, the Merchant job will give Therion a variety of weapon types to work with. In the Merchant's case, Therion will gain the ability to use polearms as well as bows and wind magic. It's yet another option for Therion when it comes to affecting the foes. However, unlike the Hunter job's ability to add an additional debuff option, the Merchant job provides an additional ally buff move. The move in question is known as Donate BP, and it works just as it sounds. Any traveler that has the Merchant job equipped and the move learned is able to donate some of their BP to allies so that they can make stronger moves during their turn, and thanks to Therion's high speed, he is more than likely able to provide additional BP before an ally makes their move. If that's not enough support for you, the Apothecary job is just what you need. The Apothecary job only provides axes and ice magic for Therion, and while that's less weapon variety than the Merchant and Hunter, the Apothecary job provides more support moves for allies. This includes First Aid, Vivify, Rehabilitate, and Doter's Charity. If the foe is already debuffed to hell, Therion can use any of these 4 moves instead of resorting to attacking. First Aid is a mini healing spell that barely costs SP, so it's really good for Therion. However, depending on how far into the game you are, you might already have a healer at your disposal. Of course, you also have Rehabilitate, which removes any status ailments from an ally and renders them immune to further status ailments for an indefinite amount of turns. Vivify is simple and is used to revive a fallen ally. Simple and useful. Finally, there's the cream of the crop, Doter's Charity. Doter's Charity is a divine skill that allows an ally to use an item on every traveler for 3 turns. It's rather disgusting if you have the right setup. And as previously mentioned with the Merchant class, Therion's high speed means he can fully take advantage of this divine skill and the Merchant job in general. Finally, there's the War Master. I didn't really go into much detail about this when I mentioned Therion's attack stat, but he has one of the highest attack stats of all the travelers, only second to Ulbrich. The War Master provides the traveler the ability to equip every weapon available. The job overall is massively DPS dependent as there are no moves that provide any form of support. However, that combines well with Therion's base job as Thief comes with some support skills of its own. As a result, Therion can still run a mixture of support and offense and simultaneously increase his ability to output damage thanks to armor corrosive and the like. And I figured I should at least bring up the aforementioned Sorcerer job into this as well. Despite Therion having a stronger physical attack stat than a magical attack stat, you can still use this job effectively. Because Thief comes with swords and daggers as base weapons, Therion is able to pair Herald's sword and Heathcote's dagger to greatly boost the strength of fire magic with the Sorcerer job. It's pretty neat all things considered, so if you want to use Therion as a magical fire nuke, you have the option. And if you can't decide on any of the classes, you could always experiment. Depending on how much you experiment with Therion, you might end up with a plethora of equipable skills for him, whether that's the Patience skill from the Hunter job or the Surpassing Power skill from the Warrior job. There's plenty of options for Therion to make use of. For example, if you wish to take a more supportive route with Therion, you can equip SP Saver and Patience. SP Saver cuts the cost of moves that cost SP in half, and since Therion's SP stat is rather low, he can continue to use supportive moves before having to use SP Thief or a Plum. Likewise, Patience grants a 25% chance for a traveler to take an additional action at the end of a turn. This can allow Therion to set up for his allies even more. Patience can also be used for more DPS, but because there are 4 slots available, it becomes rather competitive in what skills you decide to use. For an offensive approach, you could give Therion Fortitude and Surpassing Power. Surpassing Power allows Therion to deal damage above the ceiling of 9,999 damage, and combined with BP and other skills, there may be times where you might want to raise that damage cap. Likewise, Fortitude also acts as a means of raising the traveler's attack stat. The way it works is that for every bit of HP below maximum, the attack stat raises and it caps at 1 HP remaining. This can be excessively disgusting for any fight as the player is able to set up this strategy right before entering any boss fight. And due to how fast and evasive Therion is, it's easy for him to get off high damaging moves as quickly as possible while being able to survive retaliation so long as there isn't magic. There are so many combinations at your disposal when attempting to make Therion. Whether you want a support-based traveler or an offense-based traveler, you have every option available to you. I hope that this guide provided insight into Therion as well as any help along the way. If there's anything else you would like me to cover on the next Traveler, feel free to let me know in the comments section. Likewise, if there is a Traveler you want to see covered next, feel free to tell me as well. Until then, do the typical stuff. Subscribe, like, ring a bell. And I'll see you later.